So the clock struck 1, and we have a bunch of attendees who already clocked in, and we got all our panelists here. So I think now we can officially start. So I'm going to go around. So first of all, welcome to all the attendees, and welcome to all the panelists. Thank you for participating in this Ecom Cooperative webinar, Sellermania. And the topic we're going to cover today, I'm sure everyone knows it already, is going to be Prime Day prep. And no, it's not too late to prep for Prime Day. There might be some aspects that you can't touch for now, but the content will still be relevant for the next potential Prime Day 2.0. But for the most part, it is not too late to prep, and it's good to have just general knowledge on what things you could do for Prime Day, what to expect, what not. So we have with us a bunch of really industry leaders in terms of what they contribute and their knowledge level on their specific areas. And I would like to now go around and let everyone, we'll do a round of introductions. So if everyone can just speak their, call out who they are, what company they're from, and a couple of sentences on what they do, what their background is, just to give some context. And then we'll start with the content. For the attendees, just to give you the heads up, the flow of today's webinar will really be in question answer format, where we try and cover a wide range of topics, all relating to preparing for Prime Day. So yeah, I'm going to go in the order of whatever my Zoom appears. So we got Alexandra Ramirez on the top. So why don't you give us a couple of words, what company you're from, and about what you do.
Absolutely, happy to be here. My name is Alexandra, also known as Allie. I work at Sellers Funding, and I'm the Director of Sales and work with our partnerships as well. I have a MBA in International Business and love languages, absolutely love languages. So in the right business, because I get to speak with people from everywhere in the world. Nice to see you.
There's an MBA category for love languages? Come on, that's fantastic. Okay. Thank you. Max Dushey, you want to give us a couple of words?
Sure. How's it going, guys? Max here from Jolt Software. We are a multi-channel order management software. We handle orders, inventory, warehouse management, all that type of thing. Yeah, originally from Brooklyn, New York, now based in New Jersey. And yeah, my degree is in business management finance and self-taught software person.
Cool. Happy to have you here. Isaac Gross.
Hey, my name is Isaac Gross. Nice to be here. I'm the founder of IGPPC. We manage a PPC for Amazon businesses, and I'm excited to be here. I think it's my first time on a webinar with Ecom Cooperative, and I'm looking forward to answer your questions on Prime Day.
Very good. Thank you. Sean Rubenstein.
Yeah, thanks, Yanni. Yeah, Sean Rubenstein from Elevate Brands. I've been part of Elevate for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I headed up GoPro in Southern Africa. So yeah, that's really where I cut my teeth, and yeah, also got an MBA, and but nothing like learning Amazon over the last 2 years. That was easy compared to what Amazon throws at us. So excited to share some learnings today, and yeah, I think this discussion will be great.
Fantastic. Elizabeth Green.
Yeah. Hey, my name is Elizabeth Green. I'm one of the co-founders of an Amazon advertising agency called Jungler. No MBA, self-taught, learning in the trenches, which everyone here is, honestly.
Fantastic. Next up, Chezi. What do you got for us, Chezi?
Hi, my name is Chezi Chwieber from Returns Worldwide. We are a reverse logistics company that has a focus on Amazon sellers, helping them recover whatever value we can for their unfulfillable returns. I went to the school of BMG and Hard Knocks.
Yeah, that's the best one there is. Trial by fire. Clayton.
Hi, everybody. I'm Clayton Atchison, Director of Affiliates for Carbon 6. I'm from Missouri, went to the University of Missouri, studied international business like Allie. I did not get my degree in love languages. I need a bunch of help in that department. So Allie and I might need to talk after.
We'll connect you two after. I knew you were the troublemaker.
Yeah, but no, living in Puerto Rico these days, and yeah, just going on the ride with Carbon 6. Looking forward to this here webinar.
Fantastic. And Ephraim Ausch, last but not least.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ephraim Ausch. I'm the Chief Logistics Officer for Tactical Logistic Solutions, where what we do is we are end-to-end logistics service provider for Amazon sellers. I myself was a seller for 7 years, and then I joined Tactical. So that's my background and in a few words. Did not go to college, so obviously self-taught.
Yeah, seller on Amazon for many years. That's always an A+ qualification if you're in this field.
Oh, I'm a
thanks.
seller. I'm a seller too. I didn't mention that since 2018. Sorry, should have said that.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the weeds. You feel the pain. So
Exactly.
I'll just say a quick word about myself. So Yoni Mazur from Getira is usually the one for the Ecom Cooperative who's like our spokesperson and handles all the hosting and the webinars and things like that, which is why you see my handle on the screen under his name. He's actually traveling today. So for today, my name is Lenny Ash, but for today you can call me Yoni, all good. And I work at AZ. I'm actually a co-founder at AZ SellerKit and a seller myself. Well, I was a seller myself for many years, not anymore. And that's it, grinding your teeth, doing it yourself and coming up with solutions to help make life easier. And that's really what AZ SellerKit ended up turning into. But so that covers the intros for everyone. So I think Prime Day, I think one of the, not for Prime Day specifically, really just in general, selling on Amazon in the last, I don't know, year or so, or even more than that already, the biggest trend, there have been two major trends going on in the whole Amazon space. And I want to start with those two topics, right? The first one is really advertising and marketing. That took center stage on Amazon, especially after they killed the search, find, buys and all those, what used to be white hat launch techniques. That's all out the window. So now if you're launching a new item, it's all about advertising. Maintaining is all about advertising. And it's super important all year round, especially to have some strategy set for Prime Day. So we have with us a couple of experts in that field, specifically in Elizabeth and Isaac. So I kind of want to pick your brain. I'll start with Elizabeth, ladies first. What if you were setting up Prime Day campaigns? What is the most important Prime Day important campaigns to run during Prime Day?
Yeah, so that's kind of a trick question, honestly, because the work should be front loaded before Prime Day. Honestly, like you still have time right now. So if you have nothing set up, go set it up today, like this hour, right after the webinar. Because the thing is with Amazon advertising, we don't get real-time data. Now that's actually changed. I'm really curious to see what's going to go down next Prime Day because they just open up like hourly data pulls in the API, which there's no way anyone has that fully implemented yet. So maybe that'll change in the future. But as of right now, like you do not get real-time data. So if you set something up Prime Day, you're flying blind. You will see things that go out of budget. You can go and search on the Amazon ad platform or Amazon platform and see where your products show up. So you can get some insights day of, but those insights are not going to be any performance-based insights. So you have no idea if you're losing hand over fist or not. So the best thing to do is see what you have right now that you can maximize. And then day of, just make sure that those particular campaigns have sufficient budgets. So honestly, the most important campaigns to run on Prime Day are your main campaigns that are already working, that are already well tested, and drive good performance for your brand.
Wow. So you're basically saying the campaigns that you have running now, assuming you have a normal campaign structure and you're not just flying on autopilot. So if you have any campaign strategy set up now, the most important thing is to make sure that they're properly funded. And really that's what's going to run through Prime Day.
Yes, absolutely. So we are turning up bids on some of our best performing keywords, but one of the main things we focus on day of is actually the budget, because the budgets you will see inside of the ad console when they run out in real time. Again, you're not going to get performance-based data. So what's best to do in these cases is just look at your historical performance and make decisions based on that. Day of, I would focus on budgets. And then, just again, look at your historical data to be able to determine which of those make sense for you.
Yeah, so I think just a follow-up point on what you said, day of, what you do get in real time, kind of, is your sales data. If you're checking out your business reports on Amazon, you can see what your sales are up until a point in time. So you can kind of gauge by your sales data if you should be unlocking those budgets to let it run up or continue running up based on where you are at some point in the day in sales. So using your business reports on Amazon for your live sales data plus your ad console to see what you're out of budget on, those are the two data points you should look at together. Try and make sure you're running during Prime Day. So
yeah, very good point.
The follow-up question I have for Isaac on something that Elizabeth mentioned was bids. So when it comes to Prime Day, so Elizabeth pointed out, very important to watch the budgets on your campaign, but what do you do day of in terms of your bids? What's your approach to that?
Right, so that's a very good question. So I think Amazon keeps on sending out emails to make sure that people, sellers keep on increasing their bids. But for our clients, we wouldn't suggest increasing bids. What we have seen in the past Prime Days is that with the influx of traffic, you're able to spend even 3 or 4 times your budget, even without increasing bids. So I would say for the typical product, there's no need to increase bids. Basically, increase your budgets and focus on that. And the only exception would be, let's say you have a deal the day of Prime Day, or you have a product that you really, really want to push hard on Prime Day, have a lot of inventory, you have a good deal on that, and you really want to make sure that you dominate the top of search for that. That will be an exception where we will increase bids to make sure that we are really going hard and aggressive after that product. But other than that, not increase bids, basically just increase your budget. You'll be able to spend easily that budget with influx of traffic, and there's no need to just increase your bids.
So you think there's, just I'm going to recap what you said, there's enough traffic the day of Prime Day that's so ramped up that even if you pumped up your budget, you left your bids the way they were, you're really going to you'll still end up spending most, if not all of your budget.
Correct.
And the only time you would take action on a bid is if you specifically sent in inventory or you have really pumped up inventory for the day, right? In terms of having stuff like that.
Right, or you have a certain product, you have a deal today, you're really banking on that deal to really go well. You prepared a lot of inventory. That's when I might increase this, right?
Yeah, I hear. So now I got a follow-up question for you. So that's the day of Prime Day. Do you do anything with your bids in the leading up to? Like, what do you do from a week before or when we're a month before now? I think now it's too early to start preparing from now, but when do you start ramping up? What do you do the week of?
So that's a good question. So in a way, the week of Prime Day, usually conversion rates are lower. So in terms of ramping up spend on Prime Day, I'm not a big fan of this because Prime Day is actually, it's 2 days where you have a lot of sales, but it's different than Q4 or even Easter or Father's Day, Mother's Day for products that are in that season, that these other holidays are an entire season for itself. So it makes sense to ramp up weeks ahead that you're dominating the top of search and you are running on a higher tacos weeks prior to that season because it's an entire week or 2, in Q4 it's even more of a season. Prime Day, it's just 2 shopping days. So I would say for most sellers, it actually doesn't make sense to ramp up, spend a week or 2 prior to Prime Day in order to prep for Prime Day. I would say I wouldn't increase any bids. I wouldn't ramp up any spend. And again, the only exception would be a product that you're really banking on, that you have a deal and you want to go really aggressive on. That's when we'll make sure that we're dominating the organic ranking, top of search placement, going into Prime Day. So that's in terms of ramping up. In terms of lowering spend the week of Prime Day or lowering bids because of conversion rates are lower, I'm a little hesitant to do it because I think many shoppers are window shopping and they're putting your product, they're adding it to cart because they want to come in and check on Prime Day if there's a deal or not. So those people that are clicking into your ads or products a week prior to Prime Day, they might end up buying a Prime Day. If you have a deal, even if you don't have a deal, they say, okay, they don't have a deal on Prime Day, I'll buy it. So I feel it's a little bit like timing the market to try to lower the bids going into Prime Day. So that being said, we'll just make sure to, again, just going into Prime Day, making sure our campaign structure is set well, constantly optimizing the campaigns, making sure it's fully optimized. That's what we'll do prior to Prime Day.
Gotcha. And then we spoke about prior to Prime Day, we spoke about Prime Day itself. So Elizabeth, I'll throw the last question on the topic back to you. Post Prime Day. So you upped your budgets, you took care of stuff pre-Prime Day. By the way, I know you are the bulk file queen. So I will say something, I'll throw out a best practice, I guess. Download a copy of your bulk file before you make your Prime Day changes. This way you have a reset point. You have a copy of it to fall back on. If you lost track of what you were doing, you're reacting as the day goes. download a copy of the bulk file before you start making your changes and just save it original, and then you'll have it there. If you want to reset afterwards, you can just upload that. But really, I wanted to ask you, Elizabeth, post Prime Day, how do you handle the campaign structures that you have set up, or the bids or the budgets? Do you just drop everything the next morning, the night of? Do you leave it and let it ride to see if that, because if you did well on Prime Day, your BSR would improve, and where you place in the search results would improve immediately. Like, do you leave your campaigns up to try and catch the flow? Or like, how do you track your post Prime Day on an account?
That's a really good question. And I think what I'm finding with a lot of these strategies is it really depends on the account. For some accounts that may make total sense. For other accounts, maybe you want to go and do more drastic changes. That is 100% a good call out on having a bulk file set, like kind of in your back pocket as a reset if needed. So if all of a sudden you're noticing like 2 days after Prime Day, like everything is just not functioning the way it was prior, you could just upload that file and you have like a great reset to your account. I would say I would take it on a case-by-case basis. I think the most important thing to these kind of like post times, so we see it very often in like Q4 hype, where like we're heading into Christmas and sales are just ramping like crazy. And as soon as those ship dates hit past Christmas, sales drop, and you'll notice it all over the Facebook groups. Why are my sales down? Why are your sales down? It's because it's New Year's or Christmas Eve. So I think the most important thing to remember is don't freak out. We do expect conversion rates to drop post Prime Day a little bit. You're going to go through, typically speaking, again, I do believe that you should take it on a case-by-case basis. You would expect to see maybe a short slump and then just things sort of leveling off. So if you react too hard to that, sometimes what happens is you lower too quickly, and then as things stabilize, you've lowered too quickly and you're like scrambling to get it back. So I would say look at your account a couple days post Prime Day, probably go in and check daily just to kind of notice where your trends are and then adjust accordingly. I do not recommend adjusting off of like 1 day's data though. Kind of take a look at past historical performance. Was this a good campaign for me? Do I think I should write it out because this is my top keyword and I need to maintain rankings? I'm always a fan of logical decisions.
Data driven, yeah. Read the data. It's telling a story. So Prime Day is over. How do you react? Essentially, run some reports and make intelligent decisions. I mean, that's essentially the advice here, right? And don't react. The one takeaway I heard that stood out was don't react in force. Don't react with drastic reactions. It's better to ease into whatever direction you're heading in. Is that accurate?
Yes, so, I always agree. If you adjust in increments, then you can tell at which step something maybe didn't react as well as you want. If you go in and change everything, you're not going to know what worked, what didn't. Oh my goodness, the account's burning down. Like I don't even know. And then you're really stuck.
I hear. No, it makes a lot of sense. So I guess now we kind of spoke about advertising on Amazon and the platform in terms of how to deal with your ad campaigns and your strategies. But nowadays, a very big topic is also advertising off Amazon. A lot of the off Amazon promos, just try and push traffic to Amazon. Apparently that weighs very heavily in the algorithm and could work wonders for you if you're launching an item or if you have an item that you're trying to relaunch. So I guess I'll direct this question to Clayton. So what should you be doing off Amazon to promote your products on Prime Day? When do you start setting that up? Where do you set it up? What should you be thinking about? We have a month to go, a little less than a month. What should you be doing off Amazon, if anything?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, man. Everything now.
Right. No. But you got to make it bite size.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I would say for sure is that I think that pretty much if you're doing a launch, you should definitely be running Google ad campaigns for exact keywords for whatever keyword you're interested in targeting and ranking for. Pixelme, which is part of Carbon 6, just did a case study, and we're seeing fantastic keyword rank increase for any exact keyword matches on Google. But people that have done studies from TikTok and Facebook, which obviously don't have keyword, you're rather targeting audiences, they're still seeing BSR increases and the effect that off Amazon advertising to Amazon can have. But the thing that jumps out to me for Prime Day that I think people should be doing is using influencers. One tactic that I've shared with people is that a lot of influencers are used to using Amazon associates in order to get 2 or 3% on every single sale. I think that with Prime Day and it being such a like viral thing that everybody talks about all over the internet, that you can really take advantage of the reach that influencers has. So my direct suggestion would be to create links and give them to influencers that have the Amazon attribution brand referral bonus tag automatically already inside, which you can use Pixelme to do. You can also do it manually if you don't want to use Pixelme, but and then offer that 10% to any influencer. Say, hey, every single thing that converts to a sale, you're used to getting 2 or 3%. I'll give you 10, and you're not actually paying that. Amazon's paying that.
So hold on, sorry, I'm stopping you there because you're making an important point, and I just want to give context to all the people who are listening in case they're missing this piece of information. So if you're a private label on Amazon and you are brand registered, you have your brand trademark that you're registered on Amazon, and Amazon has a program where as the brand owner, if you drive traffic from off Amazon to Amazon, Amazon will give you as a brand registered owner an affiliate link, so to speak, to put it in simple terms. And if you use that affiliate link, they'll pay you 10% referral fee on anything that, on any sales that come from the link that you give out. So I just to recap what you said, take that 10 points and just give it to an influencer. The affiliate program pays out 2 to 3 points. Give them the incentive. You're running a deal on Prime Day. The item will convert well because you have a nice deal running. So give them the 10 points on that deal. If they use the link, you'll have the attribution data. You'll be able to run a clear report and give it back to them of here's exactly what converted from the link that I gave you.
Exactly. Yep. You nailed it. And again, what we're seeing, just to reiterate, is that off Amazon sales coming from Google or Facebook or TikTok or whatever are what we call an Amazon attribution sale, is the best sort of sale you can get for keyword ranking, better than an organic sale on Amazon, obviously better than a PPC, like a paid sale on Amazon. So what better time to take advantage of off Amazon sales than a time when everybody's talking about Amazon all over the web already. And on top of that, like something you should definitely be doing is if you are going to work with influencers, you should be adding pixels to the links so that you can retarget those people in the future. Let's say you're selling a dog chew toy or something. Now you give the link to this influencer. Yes, you're going to have the Amazon attribution tag for the 10% brand referral bonus that you so beautifully explained, Lenny. And separately from that, you can add a Facebook pixel, a Google pixel, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, whatever you want. So you're building a community, and every time somebody clicks those links, you're going to be able to retarget that person on Facebook and retarget them on Google for future brand launches, which are huge. All external traffic, I think, should be a part of every single person's brand launch strategy in 2022. But also, I mean, it's just another value add. If you only have a one click, you only get to target that person one time. If you're using pixels, you get to target that person a second time, a third time. It's cheaper to do retargeting, but also it just gives you an opportunity to get in front of that person more than once. A lot of people say in marketing, you got to have 6 touch points before somebody's ready to buy. That's what retargeting allows you to do. Big companies have been doing it for a long time. Pixelme has made it easy for an individual Amazon seller like me to do it. So yeah, I would say leverage influencers. If you have the budget, leverage Google ads as well. And if your product makes sense, potentially Facebook and TikTok, but definitely influencers. Influencers are going to be mad hyped already for Prime Day. They're going to be looking to work with people, to partner with people. It's just a great opportunity. And then the best part is if you can, negotiate it, you're just paying them from what Amazon is paying you, and it's nothing out of pocket. So that's what I'll be doing.
I'll give you another note on that, on the brand attribution thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, I haven't used it myself, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe that they pay you only 2 months later. Is that correct? So just something to note, right? I think that when you're negotiating with whichever influencers, if you're trying to make this offer, just from a cash flow standpoint, be aware that there's going to be 2 months till you get paid from Amazon on that, on the back end. Is that accurate?
So that's a really good question. I could look into it and I'll get that answer for you, like while we're on the webinar. I know there's a delay in attribution for sure. So number one, like even showing the data, like if you were to look in and say, hey, how did my sales do on Prime Day? You'll see that Amazon doesn't actually attribute it for, sometimes 5 days. First, they want it to be shipped and delivered because there's a chance where they can cancel the purchase, obviously. So they want the entire process to go through, and there is just an attribution delay. That's true with most attribution programs. It's not the like easiest, most like quick thing. And then also, if you're using Pixelme, there is like a day or two API delay. So for sure, there's going to be a delay in your payments. I don't know that it is a full 2 months, but I'll look into that, and I should know that. But
Yeah.
my cash flow.
Oh, good. Sorry, I cut you
We
off.
can talk about cash flow. I bet Ali's got an answer there.
Yeah, that's good. It's actually going to
So-
segue into the next two people I want to kind of loop into this conversation, which is really going to be the few minutes when we started. I mentioned there's two major trends that were happening in the last, in 2021. One of them was this massive shift to advertising and focus on that for launches and for really being on Amazon. And the other shift was really financing and aggregators. Everyone wants to grow their business so that they can make an exit to an last year. Now they want to make an exit to an aggregator, and you need financing to scale hypergrowth. And if you're an aggregator, you have to have operations in place where you kind of are able to onboard an account and kind of make it plug it into your machine. So just on the heels of the whole advertising conversation, right? Picking the right items to promote, and what statistics or what reports should you be looking at, what data points should you be looking at from your catalog. I want to direct this question to Sean. If you had to go through your catalog, right? If you're a private label seller that has one or two ASINs, then I guess it's not so complicated to pick the item. But if you're a larger seller and you have, tens, dozens, or hundreds or thousands of listings, what are you focusing on when you're making a Prime Day sales strategy? You're looking at your velocity? Are you looking at profitability? Or are you looking at where you have room in the margin? Like, what's your approach? You're managing, I don't know, countless brands. Yeah, you guys are up there in terms of what you guys have accomplished in a couple of years. So how do you guys approach selecting or curating your promotions for Prime Day?
Yeah, it gets quite kind of tricky, and it's something we start like months in advance. We started talking about this 2-3 months ago, and we started going brand by brand, product by product to really identify which SKUs we're gonna go after, and what strategy we're gonna take for each individual brand or product. And it really is, for us, does come down to the two, right? Are we going to try and maximize profitability, or are we going to try and maximize sales velocity? And those two are kind of opposite ends of the scale in some aspects. But as an aggregator, we got to balance both, right? We need to stay profitable, but we also need to move all the units. So just like a couple things that come to mind for me is really, when looking at that brand or looking at that product, like, what is the customer lifetime value for that? So if you have a consumable, it's a beauty product, right? You know that if you get a customer, you got a high conversion rate and you got a long lifetime value. Like, it doesn't matter if you run it at break even or even unprofitable. If you can get 20, 30,000 new customers on Prime Day, chances are you're going to have 10,000 repeat customers going forward. So I think it's analyzing the type of product that you have, and certainly the long lifetime value customer type of products is one that I would push velocity. Not so much worried about profitability. I'd also look at where the product is in the life cycle, of that product, right? If it's a new product, it's only got 50 to 100, 200 reviews, you're in a bit of a competitive niche. Like, it's a great opportunity to come and try to sell a couple thousand units and generate a bunch of reviews, really push up your organic ranking, as opposed to sort of those more mature products that are already organically ranking well. You got 5, 10, 15, 20,000 reviews. You could probably go a whole lot lighter on your discount and use the opportunity of the additional traffic to drive profitability. The third thing that we really look at is the post Prime Day sales. I think that is a really important discussion, right? And it's we know that by having a great Prime Day, you can have a sort of a like honeymoon period thereafter where you got a great BSR, your organic rank has improved, and you can ride the coattails of a strong sales period. So and tied to that is a bestseller badge strategy. So if you're in your subcategory anywhere from 2, 3, 4, 5, and within reach of the number one position person in the subcategory, like, there is an opportunity to like really go deep on discounts, get the bestseller badge by improving your BSR better than anyone else. And then if you got a high conviction that you can then maintain it for 1, 2, 3 weeks, months thereafter, like your sales velocity will remain and you will be highly profitable after Prime Day. So like the strategy could be to like use Prime Day as a loss leader to then generate months worth of
So hold on a second. That last point that you just made now about targeting the bestseller badge, that's a really important point if you're in contention for it, right? If it's
Totally.
if you're not in the top 100, then I guess it's not so relevant to try and target it. But if you're up there, you're close, that badge really pushes the velocity up a few notches, not just one. So I think what you were just suggesting is check the category that you're in, look at who's number one in that category, and look at their BSR in the category. And then to gauge the volume, you would use another tool, like, I don't know, like a helium 10 to get the CPR number. Like, how would you gauge what your target number is for velocity? To make this actually actionable, how would you how would you find what that number is that you have to target? If I'm selling now 1,000 units a week, but the target is 5,000, I'm not even going to attempt. It's too far off. But if it's close, I would make a push and invest in it. So how do you figure out what the target is?
Yeah, we typically using helium 10 for most of our data like that. We are also testing all the time, right? So we're doing lightning deals, we're doing 7-day deals, we're testing different price points. So we do have a bunch of data going in that gives us a pretty good conviction as to can we get it or can't we get it. Like we know we have 1 or 2 products where we're second or third consistently, but number 1 is just way too far away. We've had a deal of the day or top deal as they call it now, and we've got a bestseller badge, but you only hold it for 2 or 3 days thereafter because the leader is just so far ahead, So it really is understanding the niche that you're in, understanding where your competitors are, which kind of leads me to my next point is also like analyzing what your niche typically does as a promotional, like what your niche looks like from a promotional standpoint, typically, right? So like if you know that competitors are running 7-day deals once a month, every month consistently, they're always running lightning deals, they've all got coupons on, that your niche is going to be highly competitive come Prime Day, right? And if you can't then really take a decision to say, well, I'm not going to get involved and I'm not going to go hard, because chances are your competitors are going to get a jump on you and you're going to have a soft 2-3 weeks thereafter to try and build back up to catch up to your competitors. However, there might be other opportunities where your niche isn't that competitive and you might say, okay, well, here's an opportunity for me to like sort of jump ahead of the competition and move forward. So it really is just understanding your market, understanding your competitive landscape. And then the final point, which has been alluded to already, is what your inventory position is. You can go hard, but Prime Day can surprise you, especially if you push up the budgets and the PPC and you do line everything up. Like we had a product that's selling like $5,000 a day. We didn't have much hope for it. We put a pretty decent deal. If we do $30,000, we cool. Shot through the roof, $110,000 in like 5 hours, stocked out. Now, like you can never really plan for that unless you like have like an amazing deal and you have a very high conviction. But this was just like one of those random things, right? But why I bring the example up is like if you're planning to go big and you're doing influencers and you're doing everything and you're putting budget behind it, chances are it's going to work. But you don't have to have only stock for Prime Day. You need to have stock for the 2-3 weeks thereafter.
Yeah,
exactly. Because like, you only make your money after Prime Day in many cases, when you have these influencer tactics and big deals and things like that. So like really be thinking longer term than just the 1 or 2 days of Prime Day, because otherwise you can actually burn yourself a whole lot worse.
I think that point is worth repeating in a recap. When you're planning your Prime Day and you're taking care of your shipments that you're going to send in and you're dealing with planning your marketing, you have all these plans. It's not just a 2-day window you have to be looking at. You really have to be looking at the 3 weeks out, and you do your best to try and understand what the positive effect will be of whatever you launch on Prime Day, because if it works, you're going to have a boost in the period right after. So when you're making your inventory planning decisions, make sure that you have inventory there to cover you for the weeks after. So up until now, we touch on advertising on Amazon, off Amazon, and a whole bunch of sale, what to focus on in terms of sales and tactics. All that was going through the back of my mind was you need to have funding to front all this, because this all happens, you're bearing the cost of this almost upfront. Your disbursement from Amazon is not going to come for a couple of weeks. Even if you called out the same day, you can have other bills to pay in terms of warehousing, things like that. So when it comes to funding, that's where Ali would come in. Sellers funding, I mean, that's what they do. So I guess my question for Ali is, how do you finance Prime Day, and how do you prepare? The bigger picture is really, this is just a lead up for Q4, right? You have the same type of sales events in Q4. So when you have these big boosts, how do you prepare financially for that in advance? How do you finance that? How do you make sure you're going to be set? It's obviously, you can't wake up the day before and say, oops, I'm out of budget. How do you deal with that? What's the right outlook? What's the right approach to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things that we get asked when we say, how do you prepare for Q4 in addition to Prime Day, is having clear historicals. We want to make sure that we know what exactly has happened in the past, and then clear projections as well. What are you going to be utilizing this for? We don't only require you, or as a seller, to use this only for inventory. So you can actually get funding for some last minute inventory that you need, but you also can use it for advertising, for campaign, or anywhere else that you're looking to expand the brand. So that's something that a lot of other people do require use for inventory, but we're extremely flexible, not only in where you can use it, but in all of our terms as well. So that's one of the major factors that you want to do when you're planning with those projections, and then knowing exactly what your flexible terms are with us.
So typically, if someone's getting financing, it's with a very specific plan, but you have to know where the money is going to be spent when you're going through that process to get the funding. But you have a much more lenient approach, or you allow for a lot more flexibility than a typical lender. Did I understand that correctly? Like, you just have flexibility to do what you react, I would say.
So we don't require you to, during the application process, to enter this information. When we do have larger approvals, we do want to make sure we understand where those money and fund is going to be utilized. It doesn't mean that we're going to restrict where you can utilize it, but it just gives us a clear understanding and might give you a higher proposal.
Right here. Okay, so that's if you're a seller who's experiencing growth, you're in the early stages of your business, or even in the later stages, and all of a sudden you want to make a push now, you set yourself up for it. And marketing nowadays, you're seeing, I mean, at least from the content that I consume, I'm seeing that the cost per click has doubled today from a year ago, and off Amazon and the whole influencer world. Yeah, Clayton had a great idea of using the 10% attribution and passing it along. But in general, a lot of these influencers charge a pretty penny to post your products, that you really need to have liquidity that you can front up front to fund this kind of growth. And that's really what you are suggesting in terms of preparing for it. Something to look out for when you're looking for a lender is the flexibility to use the funds in more ways than just inventory, right? And that's something that happens to be the place where you work, Sellers Funding. That's part of their shtick. Okay, that's definitely for whoever needs it. You almost can't function without it. So you have to know where to go and not get rejected for that process. So in leading up to Prime Day, right, we have you're going to make your plan of action, like touch on the points that Clayton and Sean touched on. You set up your advertising, you make sure you have your funding in line. At some point, you're going to have to actually do the physical work, right? It's not just running reports. You have to pull, pack, ship items. You have to make sure the logistics is taken care of. It's not the type of thing where you can wake up the day before Prime Day and say, ooh, I have to stock units, right? You have to plan this a little bit further out. So Ephraim, being from tactical logistics in the warehousing field, I guess I would throw the question to him. They put a deadline of June 20th to get inventory at Amazon so that it can be available for Prime Day. So that date passed. So from your experience 2 days ago, from your experience, is it too late? Can you still get stuff there? what would you do to make sure you're on time, let's say for the next Prime Day, this October or 2.0? Talk about, can you speak to us about just from a logistical standpoint, making sure you get inventory to Amazon that will be available on the Prime Day sale?
Sure. So the process with Amazon is for most standard sized products, and then we'll talk about oversized in a minute, is we deliver, for example, every day to a lot of different locations in California or in the East Coast. And and all our loads are live unloads. So if you are still hoping to get your product into Amazon for Prime Day, I would not suggest using Amazon partner carriers. And I'll explain why. Is the whole way how Amazon works is basically they pick up whenever they want. A lot of sellers know about that. So if you schedule a specific day, doesn't mean that we'll show up at that time or that day. They can come a few days later. They can come a few days earlier. Sometimes they really don't work with the date that you actually ask for Amazon to pick it up on. Once they pick it up, how Amazon works is they pick it up, they consolidate a couple different customers, or it's one big customer, it's one truckload. They come to the Amazon FC and they just drop the trailer there, and it could sit there sometimes for a week, 2, 3 weeks, and basically till they actually offload that container. So what we do, and there's a lot of truckers, third-party truckers out there.
Ephraim, sorry, 1 second. I think that you mentioned a couple of things. I just want to make sure that everyone has the right context, because you dropped some terms and made some assumptions. I just want to make sure everyone understands what you're saying, because it's valuable input. So there might be some people who are in the audience who are not dealing with the day-to-day logistics. They're higher up, or so just to understand what he's saying, when you make an FBA shipment on Amazon, you have a choice of what carrier you're going to use. If you're shipping UPS, small parcel, then you will most likely be buying the labels from Amazon. It's much cheaper. But if your shipments are higher volume and you're graduated to LTL, you're now shipping on pallets. So if you're shipping on pallets, then you have two options. You can use an Amazon partner carrier, or you can ship with your own LTL company that you choose. If you're using the Amazon partnered carrier, just to recap what Ephraim just pointed out, the rates are significantly cheaper. So to ship one pallet could be $70, whereas if you tried to book it yourself, it would be $250, just to put context and number to it. But you pay for what you get. So for that $70 in logistics that you think you're saving money on, Amazon's partnered carrier will pick it up, and it will sit in queue waiting to be consolidated onto a bigger truck, which will then go to Amazon. So it won't actually, it might get picked up from you 2 weeks, ahead of time, but it won't actually become sellable and hit Amazon's AFN fulfillable quantity or even reserved. It won't hit that number with a partner carrier for potentially weeks. And when you're prepping for Prime Day, what Ephraim is pointing out is you don't want to mess around now. Especially now, right. During the year, right. If your inventory is running low, if you have the luxury and you have thousands of you have 3 months worth of inventory on hand, and you're sending in an order to pad your inventory, you can wait. Use the Amazon partner carrier. Who cares how long it takes? But if you're running low on inventory any time of the year, or if you're preparing for a deal with a real deadline, you don't want to go Amazon partner carrier. You want to make sure you're using a carrier that has those daily appointments, the live unloads like Ephraim was pointing out, and those are relationship based. Not every trucking company has it. So if you're working with a warehouse like Tactical, they have those relationships with the trucking companies that work with it. That's part of the normal flow. You have the daily pickups from the LTLs, they're dropping it off to the Amazon local warehouses. I mean, that will get the goods checked in 1 day, right? That's the point you were making?
Right. Yeah, it will get basically, it will get received the day it was delivered. But one point is, it will go into reserve status for standard size products. It will not be basically, a lot of times you go into Amazon, will be in stock on, let's say, July 15th or something. So it gives you that date that will be in stock where you can actually purchase that product. So for some buyers, a lot of them won't maybe purchase it because I can't get it right away, but at least the product is available on Amazon. You can actually buy it. But with that said, we have seen sometimes that it gets available 3 days later. some inventory trickles into fulfillment centers where it's available for prime delivery. Sometimes not. So yeah, it's after the deadline, you're taking a risk, but at least if you want to make sure that it's available to be purchased on Amazon, you shouldn't be using Amazon's carrier. You should be using a third-party carrier. With oversized products, majority of oversized products do not go to like consolidation warehouses. So standard-sized products comes to a consolidation warehouse where Amazon themselves puts it on, let's say 20, 30 different trucks going to 20, 30 different fulfillment centers, versus oversized mostly do not work that way. They just go right into fulfillment center. So they receive it and it goes right into inventory. In that case, a lot of times your product will be fulfillable same day. Basically, you'll be able to buy it. It will be prime available same day for oversized. So that's basically it. Yeah, it's a little bit too late to make sure that you have the deadlines in, but at least you could make sure that your product is available to be purchased on Amazon.
So yeah, I mean, I'll follow up. Somebody asked in Parry P asked the question in one of the participants, what is the latest deadline to get inventory to Amazon to be eligible for Prime Day? So Amazon guaranteed that if it's on the dock by June 20th, it'll be available for Prime Day. But as Ephraim pointed out, and I can speak from my own experience in the 15 years I've been selling on Amazon, although Prime Day has only been the last few, but it's not too late. Don't think it's too late. If you're doing LTL and you have the automatic, the live check-in, then even if you're replenishing goods, the week before, it could potentially get checked in and still be available live. The challenge with setting up Prime Day deals is the inventory has to be there. The inventory that you committed to has to be there by the date that they guaranteed. But you can replenish after that, and you should still replenish. Like today is June 22nd. If you're using Amazon partner carriers, like Ephraim pointed out, maybe proceed with caution. But if you're using an LTL carrier that has the live delivery, I think you still have a decent amount of time to replenish, even well into next week. You can probably still replenish if you get it checked in. I mean, you have to understand. I want to clarify something else that Ephraim mentioned to the audience. Amazon has a ton of fulfillment centers all over the country. Some of the fulfillment centers, when you ship product, when you get assigned to ship a product to them, they're for standard size and they're just cross-docking. So they're not actually shipping orders to customers. So if you get assigned to one of those transfer warehouses, your goods will hit and then it will not be available for sale. It'll get transferred to other warehouses in other parts of the country and won't hit available for sale for another couple of days. But if you're oversized product, then they don't do transfer warehouses. They'll have you shipped directly to the destination where it's going to go live. So if you're oversized, then and you have a live check-in, you'll probably go live and become available the day of. So it's just something to understand that there's different warehouses in Amazon's fulfillment center that have different functions. So depending on where you get routed to will determine, you'll be able to predict, how many days it'll take them to receive, or at least what the lag time would be. So what else? In terms of logistics and shipping and LTL, I think those are all super important points. The deadline has been what people are really asking about. So if you're shipping LTL with live check-in, you have time. How about UPS, Ephraim? If you're shipping with UPS, from your experience, what's
Too late.
For UPS
Probably
or
too late.
FedEx? Too late. So
Probably. I mean, based on, it used to be a good idea to go for, but based what I'm seeing lately, again, it's a hit or miss, but I've seen in cases where it took 20 days or 2 weeks till it got
for
received.
UPS,
And right, versus LTL, at least it's in reserved status, so at least people could purchase it, but it's not available to ship right away, but at least it's available for purchase, versus UPS could just sit for 2 weeks and Amazon has no knowledge. It shows delivered, but it's not in reserved status, it's not received, so you can't purchase that.
okay, I hear. So very good tips. So if you're UPS, also proceed with caution. It might even pay to upgrade to LTL, even if you don't really filling a pallet. If you actually have to make a deal or make sure you have enough stock for the day, it's worth using LTL, even if you're going to ship a half full pallet. So just something to consider when you're making your inventory decisions. So
But one small point, LTL, regular LTL that you see out there is not a good idea. LTL with companies that actually consolidate a full truckload that have live deliveries to Amazon, live unloads by Amazon, that's the way to go about. If you
That's the
use,
language.
let's say,
the key
right.
word to ask when you're looking for that carrier to work with you, the key thing to ask for is live unload. Do you have live unload with Amazon? And if the answer is yes, then get a quote from them. It's relevant.
Exactly, because most common LTL carriers out there, Saya, Roadrunner, all these companies do not have live unloads with Amazon. So
Okay.
they'll wait to consolidate and then they'll drop their trailer and you can wait a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so you have to make sure it's live unload, not just LTL, but LTL with live unload. That's a key takeaway to understand. So in terms of going through the cycle of Prime Day, we got the prep and the preparation, the advertising. We spoke about logistics and inventory. Really, you have Prime Day now, post Prime Day. Every time you have a big sales period, like especially December time when it happens to be, that's a big gifting season. But there's always elevated returns post Prime Day or post any type of shopping season, right? Returns usually are in line, it's a pretty standard percentage of returns. If you're tracking your account and you have that stat in hand, you'll see that it's probably consistent over time. And it might spike after specific days. So, or another challenge in terms of inventory management would be if you ship goods to Amazon expecting to do X in volume, but the deal was a bust. So what do you do with the inventory? So I want to direct this question to Chezi, who is in reverse logistics, which is kind of the topic we're talking about. So now it's post Prime Day, you have to deal with the cleanup from a logistics standpoint. So what tips or advice can you give to someone who has to consider these factors when they're making their inventory decisions?
So there's a few things you can do, and Amazon actually recently rolled out a few other programs that we'll talk about in a minute. But initially, there was the removal orders, the classic removal orders, where you can go ahead and call them back to your own warehouse or your own, workspace, and deal with the products there back to your 3PL. And there's always additional cost associated with that. It always costs more to do a removal order. And that's the first option. The other option that you can do is a disposal order, where essentially you're telling Amazon charges you a fee to go ahead and dispose of it. Disposal by Amazon means they take it and they liquidate it themselves. So they're essentially making money on both sides. One, charging you to make that disposal order.
Sorry. Disposal implies that they're destroying it.
Correct.
Disposing of it. So that's not the case, is what you're pointing out. Correct.
That's not the case. They dispose of it and they either sell it on Amazon warehouse deals on their own, platform. And, they charge you a disposal fee and they make the money on the Amazon, warehouse deals. So those are the legacy two options that a person can, a company can decide. They recently rolled out another few options. One is donations, where you can donate it to some good charities or whatnot, and I believe they give. I don't believe you could choose, but it's one of maybe 4 or 5 charities that they vetted and they have that has the capacity to be able to go ahead and do something with all the goods, because it's a lot of stuff that you need to have proper logistics in order to handle it. So you could either do donations, which a lot of people like. You get a write-off and you can offset a lot of money that way. The other option is grade and resell, which is Amazon's newest program, and it's not available for all ASINs or all SKUs. It's only available for a select few that, based on certain criteria, the Amazon rep in the warehouse will go ahead and actually test the product and, not only put it, and when a return comes into Amazon's warehouse, the Amazon rep looks at it. If it's new, they put it back into fulfillable, which is one of the biggest issues people had, because these reps don't know how to test the product. And if they put it into new, then people get used as new complaints, and that's not good. So, with this program of grade and resell, the rep, it goes to special center, the rep looks at it, and then they can grade it not new condition, they can grade it and sell and put it back into your fulfillable inventory as used like new or used very good, which is extremely useful for a lot of people that sell, electronics or higher end products, products that are not so technical and don't need an extreme amount of testing. All these ASINs are eligible for their program. And that is a big, they actually have a promotion now where it's super cheap and they charge you like $1 or $2 to do that. And that's a super cool option for people that are eligible for their inventory. So I would definitely recommend, always keep on grade and resell. And then the last option that they have, in addition to, is liquidation, where I haven't had much success with the liquidation option for that. The one that Amazon offers, they generally tell you they'll give you between 5 and 10% back. Usually it's 2%.
Sorry. 5 and 10%. That means like
pennies.
In terms of
pennies on
retail
the dollar.
value, pennies on the dollar.
Correct.
So if your item is at $10 retail, they'll get you back 50 cents. On a $20 retail, they'll get you back $1. Like that's what they're proposing.
Yeah, and that's on the higher end. We've seen it a lot less. We've seen it like 2-3%. And the one good part about liquidations, which in nuclear situations it could be an option, is is if you need the restock limits and you need the inventory available, as soon as you do a liquidation order, then your stock automatically, they take it out of your stock. So you're able to go ahead and refill, with higher, faster velocity and selling items. So we've actually had a few cases where somebody, made a liquidation order for 40,000 units because they needed the space and, was sitting there taking up tremendous amounts of space, and they instantly got it within 5 minutes, as opposed to removal orders or even disposal orders that could take weeks and weeks until it actually ships. So that's one tip in terms of liquidation, where sometimes that could go into your calculation.
Is there a cancellation period? If you set up a liquidation order, do you have a grace period where you can cancel, or once you click the button, sayonara?
Yeah, once you click the button, it's generally done. But they do have, you can request a cancellation sometimes, depending on where the system it's up to. Sometimes they'll stop it, and sometimes they won't.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be a wise guy. You need to create a shipment. So you set up a liquidation, it frees up space, you make your shipment, and then you call them up and cancel the liquidation.
So that wise guy happens on the hold orders. If you do a hold order, then it takes it out of your sellable inventory. So instead of doing a liquidation order, you go to a multi-channel fulfillment order. And if you would see, there's a button that says make a hold order. A hold order essentially takes it out of your stock, and that's where you can do your wise guy.
But it didn't ship. Okay, asterisk.
Yeah.
At your own risk.
At your own risk.
But that's basically how you can reduce your utilized inventory so that you can create room to make a shipment if you are scrambling with inventory limitations. So this whole last 5-minute segment that Chezi was talking about, and important to note for whoever doesn't know, just the context, if you're using FBA, obviously this whole Prime Day prep is about, in order for it to be Prime, it has to be at Amazon's fulfillment centers. So they impose limitations on your account inventory. You have a cap. You can't send in whatever you want. You have to send in up to what you're allowed to. So if you are treading water close to that cap, you could be, and you want to run a deal on an item and you want to send inventory in, you could be stuck between a rock and a hard place where you don't have the space to send in the goods. So how do you get around that? So I kind of, a couple of the things that Chezi mentioned in terms of liquidations or removal orders, or this hack with the hold order would free up your utilized inventory so you can now create shipments and send them out. Yeah, that sums up a nice round of what you spoke about. What about, from your experience, what is post Prime Day returns? Do you see that being escalated compared to the rest of the year, or is it just like on par with everything else in terms of rate of returns? Is this like a gifting season, or are people buying for themselves? And so then like the rate of returns go up after the Prime Day boom or not?
So that's actually a super interesting point. And, just to add to your question, same with January, February, where everyone says, oh, returns must be crazy. So in-store returns are obviously crazy because everyone is returning the gifts, but Amazon is, Amazon works with their capacity, and usually they try to be somewhere at 85, 90%, 95% capacity in terms of what they could process. So everyone always assumes we get triple or quadruple the amount of returns on, in January, February, and after Prime Day. That's not true. I mean, Amazon can only process what they can. And, it does take sometimes months for them to process removal orders. So, depending on what facility it's in and where it's at in the process and many other factors that Amazon's warehouse and their algorithm determines, that's when the product will get shipped. And they do like to run at, as high capacity as possible. So we consistently get the same amount of returns. It's an interesting point and something that you might not necessarily, think of, but we generate, I mean, maybe it's a little higher in terms of, January, February, but it's not like significantly higher, although the return rate can be higher because your sales are higher.
No, I hear that. Okay, so a couple of good takeaways. In terms of if you weren't aware of these tools that Amazon's offering, the legacy ones are the standard removal orders of disposal or a standard removal, and they just introduced this liquidation option, which sounds to me like that's what disposal is, but okay, let's call it a new option. Yeah.
Well, liquidation, there's no charge. Liquidation, there's no charge, and they get you
that's the
back
big
5 to
difference.
10%. And disposal, they charge you to
Does
throw it in the
liquidation
trash.
check out immediately also?
Liquidation checks out immediately. Disposal does not. So essentially, there's no reason why you shouldn't do liquidation. Yeah.
If you were gonna do disposal, you should be doing liquidation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's an all year round takeaway. Anyone who has disposal orders set up on their account, you should really flip the switch to liquidation. It sounds like a no brainer. You don't have the fee and it frees up your inventory immediately. So that's a great all year round tip.
Yeah, so that's usually the case. I mean, I would point out though, people that want to, really lock up their supply chain and they don't want anything getting out to, third-party liquidators or whatnot, it could be worth it to do disposal. Although disposal usually happens the same way. Usually disposal orders also end up by liquidators. But that's not officially what's supposed to happen.
The safest way, if you really need to be tight about your supply chain, the safest thing to do is to do
removal and throw it out yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You have to deal with
Perfect. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And another interesting point I would just point out, our average return rate that we see for clients is anywhere from, 3% to 5.5%, 6%. That's kind of the normal range. Anything more than that, not talking about shoes or clothing or apparel, which is up there in, 12, 15% rate. I would say that that's what we see our average return rate. Health and beauty is usually going to be lower end, household goods is going to be on the higher end of the 5, 6%, but anything more than that, we don't usually see.
Got it. Okay. All valuable input. So I again, just going through the whole Prime Day journey, we covered a lot of the points up until now, even into post Prime Day. But I'm looking at Max's backdrop, and I see on Jolt Fulfillment Systems, he has the logos of a bunch of other channels also. So something that nobody mentioned until now was, which I'm curious to get your input if you have experience in that field. What Prime Day obviously is a huge shopping day on Amazon. But if you are selling on other channels, like you have a Shopify store or your own website, whatever it is, or even Walmart and the like, I know I read articles, at least the last time around, a few times ago, Target tried to counter Amazon Prime Day with running promotions, and so did a bunch of the department stores. Like, do you see a lift in non-Amazon sales channels? When Prime Day comes, there's a whole big buzz about Prime Day and hitting Amazon. The traffic is definitely way up. Do you have exposure to the other channels? Do you see that in your consulting and working with your clients? Do you see that lift in other channels, or is that something that you can even target, or how do you promote that? Can you speak to those points a little?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, definitely. It's generally just a selling day, just like Black Friday. They're trying to replicate that, obviously. Walmart last year did Prime Day before and after Prime Day. Like you said, also Target, the other guys are competing. People are in their buying mode. So basically, I would say you definitely want to have stock in Walmart and Target and all your other channels, your own website, your Google Shopping. People will be doing their price comparison. People are sort of, when you get into that buying mode, I remember when I was young, I used to go out with my friends on Black Friday night just for the fun of staying up, and I didn't need the big screen TV. I used to just want to buy something, right? So like you're in that buying mode, you want to buy something because it's Prime Day. So you're going to be searching for something that hits you. And you might price shop that on Google, you might do that type of thing. So definitely you want to make sure that everything, check all those boxes and make sure everything has stock, everything's available.
I hear. And in terms of driving that traffic. So inventory is definitely a key factor. Make sure you have availability on the other sites. But do you take any, or do you see any of your customers or people that you work with taking steps to actively promote, or do they run their own sales in concurrence with whatever's going on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely could do that too. So, you know, if you have your own website, offer the free shipping at the very least. Tell them about your shipping lead time. Like, people are liking Amazon, obviously, for the lead time and for the free shipping. So if you're going to show on your website, you know, we ship in 2 days also, or we ship guaranteed, whatever, that's going to give you more competition on that. So definitely worth doing.
Gotcha. And in terms of on Amazon itself, right? You have Prime Day. When we're talking about post Prime Day, we spoke about advertising, you know, post Prime Day. We spoke about, let's say, inventory management in terms of logistics. But any other tips you can give for post Prime Day actions that people should take? Like, how can you squeeze more out of those 2 days of sales and traffic?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing that I always recommend is making sure that you have automated feedback and review request emails going out after the fact. That's going to make a big deal for you guys. Also, that people will remember your brand, people will remember you as a seller once they're on there, see what else you're selling. You know, so that's just going to give you a little more longevity on that. You're a little bit recapturing those customers again. You know, obviously you can help boost your account. Some people are using Prime Day as a way to even just lift up their account, offering deals just to have volume, just to have metrics, you know, so make sure you take care of that as well. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. We got a question from Roseanne. Is there, and I guess this might be directed at Chezi or anyone who can answer, is there a way you can buy back stock if you set up as liquidation to get stock back, free up inventory, then you can control your third-party liquidators? I mean, that's a much more kosher wise guy move than the hold hack. So you're essentially asking, if I got this right, can I turn on liquidation? I guess, where does Amazon offer that product for sale? Can you buy it yourself? If it's 1 penny on the dollar, just buy it back yourself. It's cheaper than the removal fee. You get the immediate, you control the supply chain. What are your thoughts on that? You know, where do you buy Amazon's liquidations?
That's a great idea, but it doesn't work like that. They have, you know, their liquidators that they deal with. There's not even an open platform where you could go ahead and apply. They kind of reach out to you if they feel you're a good fit. You know, there's some tips to try to get their attention, such as being on their you know, service provider list. You know, then it kind of catches the right team's attention. Maybe they'll ask you if you can handle such volumes and things like that. But in general, you can't control that. It goes to massive companies. I mean, they like go ahead.
So like what I'm hearing from you is the liquidation program, the inventory goes into a black hole. It's not like they put it up on Woot. I think Woot is owned by Amazon also, and Woot is a liquidation site. So it's not like they're moving, all liquidation goes to Woot, and then you can just shop Woot and buy it yourself. They're just paying you pennies on the dollar and then liquidating it with vendors that they have contracts with, so to say. I know a bunch of those in local in the Jersey area. They have contracts with Amazon. They get trailer loads delivered daily with merchandise that Amazon, I guess, wants to make disappear. So that's where the liquidations go.
Yeah, they commit, you know, that these contractors commit to huge amounts of trailers every month, you know, a few hundred trailers a month they commit to, just, you know, to buy that.
Got it. So really,
and another thing that you can't pick and choose. They put in the trailer load whatever they want to put on it. So even it's not like you can actually pick. Yeah, even you can't pick and choose your specific product. All these people that buy liquidation, they're full truckloads of random product.
And I will say it is kind of an antiquated system, the whole liquidation system, where it goes through 4 or 5 hands just until it gets, you know, until you could buy that mystery pallet or something, you know, that you always see advertised. You know, it goes through 4 or 5 of these liquidators just to get there. So there's always these wholesalers that happens.
Got it. Okay.
Just curious, Lenny, you mentioned Woot. Is that, I know that is through FBA also. Would that actually count against your FBA inventory if you actually run a deal with Woot instead of doing something? You could run that deal with Woot instead. It gets transferred to like a Woot FBA.
So I'll tell you, just in terms of stocking inventory at Amazon's FBA, anything you stock at FBA counts against your inventory, period. Whatever that channel that you're going to use it on, if you're using Amazon to do fulfillment for your website, or if you're using Amazon inventory to fulfill your route, whatever you're using it for. If you have an FBA inventory limitation, that's going to count on it. So yeah.
That is a reserved inventory, the Woot inventory. So I think it goes to a separate sub warehouse, sort of, or virtual warehouse.
It could be that it's reserved, but even reserved is counted on your utilized inventory. So I would imagine that if you're going to stock goods at Amazon, that it's going to count towards your limit. I mean, I would also assume, because if it's Woot and it's Amazon owned, that if you were selling goods, that they would also account for that run rate and sales rate in terms of allowing you to have increased limits. Would make sense, or at least you can make a logical case. I'll throw something out to the crowd that I actually experienced earlier this week. On one of the accounts that I'm working with, we actually had an inventory limitation because it was a new brand to Amazon and they limit you at 1,000 units. So if you have a SAM or an Amazon rep working with you on your account, you can actually request, if you have a good business reason, you can actually request a temporary increase in your inventory limitations. And if you're working with a SAM or a rep, they can submit that request to the inventory gods of Amazon. And if the business reason that you set forth makes sense, then in all likelihood, they'll grant it. So we actually had a win on that earlier a couple of weeks ago, where we didn't have the inventory availability. We wanted to run a deal for Prime Day. We didn't have enough room to send in inventory because it's a new account with that 1,000 unit limit. So we just asked our SAM to put in the request, and he did, and it got approved, and we were able to send in inventory. The following week, it resets back to where it was, but you already made the shipment and got it out. So the inventory is in the system, and now we'll be stocked for Prime Day. So just another good tip that I learned about and was able to actually work on this week. So I got no other questions lined up for myself in terms of prepping for Prime Day. I feel like we covered the full cycle of the Prime Day journey, if anyone's prepping for it. So at this point, I guess I would open it up to the audience. If anyone has any questions that you want to ask, now would be a good time to you can type the questions in the chat, and we'll try and get them answered, or you can hit the question and answer button, and we'll try and get those questions answered. So just drop any questions in over there, and we'll try and get them answered. In terms of opening it up, we did get some questions in the Q&A section, so I'm going to read through them now just to see if we cover them all. So the first question was from Hamza Safdar. He asked it at the top of the hour. He said, what to do if product is related to winter season as well as giftable product? And in summer, this time, most of the sales are from giftable keywords, but ranking is difficult on them since they have huge search volume. What to do in this case to ace Prime Day? So I don't know if I fully understand the question. I read it out loud to everyone. I don't know if anyone else wants to take it. What do you do if your product is seasonal? I guess he's asking about seasonality as it relates to Prime Day.
I've purchased winter items in the summer before on a good enough deal.
Okay.
Really liquidating it.
I hear. All right. So I guess I'll touch on the next question. Ryan Kramer.
I can add in there, Lenny, if you don't mind. Sorry, my video is just dropped, so I apologize for not having it on. I think what's really important for everyone to note is just how much the deal costs, right? So we're currently showing Prime Day deal between $300 and $500, right? So assuming you get a deal on the 12th or 13th, Amazon's going to charge you $500. Like if you have a seasonal product that is winter based in this case, you really need to take a good look and say, well, am I going to sell enough units on the deal that I have to make an impact, a big enough impact that I cover at least my deal fee, right? Because there is a risk that not many people are going to come in and buy your winter socks in the middle of July. So you really need to take a look at that and assess it. And then at like the beginning when I was talking, I was saying like, well, when we're identifying the opportunities for like or the strategies that we're really going to go after and why we're going to go after them, like a lot of it is like post Prime Day. What does that look like? How can we maximize profit? How can we improve our BSR, our organic rank, et cetera, et cetera? Now, you're not going to do that on your winter stock. So unless you want to use it as a liquidation, it's a highly it's like a big item that moves a lot of volume and at a low cost. And you just like overstocked and you're paying crazy fees and you're just trying to use it to clear stock, then potentially. But for most other strategies, I don't see that. Well, certainly on our side, we wouldn't put too much effort into winter products right now.
So you mentioned something very important, that a difference that I want to call out. You mentioned Prime Day deal cost, which implies that you're actually running a Prime Day deal. So just to clarify for everyone who's listening, there's Prime. Sean, what was the deadline for submitting a Prime Day deal?
Cool.
I think
it was the 29th of April.
Exactly.
Or something like that, yeah.
Exactly. So Prime Day deals are similar to a Lightning deal in the sense of it gets its own badge. You'll see that blue Prime Day badge on it, and those have a fee connected to them. Besides the discount that you're giving on the item, you have to commit to inventory, and you have to have a certain discount amount on it, and it has to get approved, right? Someone has to moderate it. Is that invite only like Lightning deals? Or
Yeah.
can you pick any item you want?
No. Typically, what happens is that Amazon will suggest, or like you know, qualifying items, right? So Amazon will, when you go into your deals page, you'll see a whole bunch of ASINs that are eligible now for a deal. So back then in April, we were able to then go and like list a whole bunch of the ASINs that are eligible and just like load them up and seeing, okay, well, which of our ASINs will actually get selected for a Prime Day deal where you get the little blue badge and make sense. So what we need to make a decision on now is like what when Amazon finally say like which products are going to be on deal and which are not, we need to make a decision and say like, is it viable? Are we going to be able to sell enough units to cover the $500 cost? If not, like there are other options, right? You can cut your deal and save the deal cost, but then you can run coupons, or you can do a Prime exclusive deal where it doesn't necessarily cost you money to sign up. So, you know, your strategy and the type of deal you want to do, like you just have to be pretty, like interrogate everything, work out your break-even costs and come up with a good strategic plan there.
So to get the Prime Day deal, to get that Prime Day badge, functions a lot like Lightning deals in the sense that it's invite only and there's a fee connected with it. The deadline for those was April 29th. So you wouldn't get offered or be able to submit anything after that date, which is long gone. So heads up for the next round. Where would you see the Prime Day deal? Where are you going in your Seller Central to see if you had any? It's April 20th. Where am I going on my Seller Central account to see what Amazon's offering?
Yeah, if you're going to the advertising drop down and click deals, typically where like same place where you'll find your 7-day deal and your Lightning deal, you'll just see a whole bunch of Prime Day deal. Like it was mentioned earlier, you are now seeing Prime fall deals, Black Friday deals, like those are going to start popping up. So keep an eye out for them. And like what we do is we load them all up and then we wait and see what actually gets selected and what sort of time slot they get selected, and then we can decide whether we cancel them or not.
So you only get charged if the deal runs, right? You don't
Correct.
get charged when they select it. You get charged when it actually runs the day of, and you can cancel up until I guess the day before or something like that. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And then another thing that you mentioned was, which I want to elaborate on, was the Prime exclusive deals. So Prime exclusive is available all year round. If you go to, I think it's in the promotions or advertising, you got to go to the promotions page. Prime exclusive deals offers a Prime discount only visible to whoever is Prime. And you get this red badge that says Prime exclusive. So it's not the same Prime Day badge, but you still do get a badge which discounts your order. So you'll have the /2 with the discounted price next to Prime exclusive deals. So
on Prime Day, the Prime exclusive discounts has the Prime deal badge.
Oh, so that's really a hack because Prime
Exactly.
Prime doesn't cost anything. Prime exclusive deals don't cost anything to run, and you don't have to have any inventory requirements. There is a discount requirement. You have to meet a certain minimum price.
Right.
So there is, you work it out that I think it's specified over there. You have to be, I think 20, your price has to be lower than your lowest price in the trailing 30 days from when the deal is
right. And it has to be 20% off.
Right, 20% off, exactly.
Yeah.
So to answer more directly, to answer Jacob's question,
Correct.
What is the alternative if your SKU is not eligible for a deal to make products move? So coupon for 25% definitely works. You'll get the coupon badge. But more relevant to Prime Day would be to set up a Prime exclusive deal where you'll actually now, like Isaac is pointing out, you'll get that Prime Day badge with the discount. I think that there has to be some benefit if they're charging $500. I think the difference is the placement on the Prime Day deal page. There's a separate page with Prime Day deals, so you'll get placed there. But other than that, you get the same badge if people are searching.
You'd also be visible to non-Prime members. So you know, there'll still be organic traffic of people who aren't Prime member deals subscribers. And if you're just running a normal Prime Day deal or like a normal deal that you've paid $500, you'll be visible to all customers. Where if you're only running a Prime exclusive deal, your deal won't be visible.
By the way, so the deal itself won't be visible, but Amazon is trying to entice people to sign up for Prime. So they'll put, do you want to buy this item for 20% less or whatever, with a question mark right under the price. They'll ask you that question, you know, click here and sign up for Prime. They're trying to get you to use it as bait. So you won't see it featured in the search results with the badge and the slash through the discounted price, but they will definitely poke and prod you to try and check it out. We got a question from Manny Hoffman in terms of, do you have any opinion on regular coupons versus Prime deal exclusive coupons? Does anyone have an opinion on that?
I would say on Prime Day, Prime exclusive discounts would make a bigger dent than a regular coupon because it has that Prime Day deal badge.
Yeah, for sure. Right, that's relevancy for the day. If
Correct.
you have a Prime Day badge, it'll be more relevant.
Right.
The coupon badge is the regular coupon, yeah?
Correct. The green coupon.
Coupons also cost you 60 cents, right? Per redemption. So there's another expense associated with it also.
And the only thing with the coupon is that typically what you see is the redemption rate's about 50-60%. So people see the coupon, they get attracted to your deal. Oh wow, they're giving 25% off coupon. They add it to the cart, they continue shopping, they get to the end and they forget to claim the coupon. So redemption rates aren't 100%. So you might be giving a 25% discount, but you only end up in aggregate giving it 15% across all sales that day. So you know, there's pits and falls each way.
Right.
Yeah.
This sounds like A/B testing type of thing. You got to have a few listings set up like this and a few like that, and then see the results a week later. Jacob's asking, can you run Prime exclusive and coupons together? I think the answer is yes. Why not?
Almost sure that yes.
I don't know. That's I guess that's a type of thing. Try it and see if it works.
Yeah, I've never A/B tested the same thing on the same listing.
yeah. The combo. Does the combo work?
I think another like just quick tip I have is I use AMZ Alert to like spy on my competitors. So you don't have to connect to their Amazon Seller Central. You can just put in their ASIN and their merchant ID, because people do all sorts of clever stuff on Prime Day. You know, they advertise in their images sometimes, special deals, or if you buy more than one, you get a 10% coupon. People do a lot of stuff, and I just like keeping tabs on what my competitors are doing. There's even some listings I follow that I just think are really clever that they're not even in my niche whatsoever. They just always seem to like, if I see a really good listing, I want to like stay on top of what people like that are doing. So, you know, just learn for this Prime Day, for what you're going to do for the fall Prime Day or whatever they're calling that, and for the next stuff too. So see what your competitors are doing, and likely they're probably planning something similar for the next go around. So just keep an eye on what people in your niche are doing, and learn from it.
That's a phenomenal tip to keep an eye on that. So what specific points do you look at when you're checking out a listing? Like you're looking to see if they have what kind of deals they're running, or if they did any markdowns or things like that?
Yeah, especially like, I mean, I set it up to where if my competitors change their price at all, like I know about it. So if they change their price, even this is year round, but I get an alert saying, you know, hey, their price went up or their price went down. I think you should be getting alerts when your competitors are changing anything on their listing, just so you can, you know, parrot that or make a decision. Like you can also get an alert that, you know, if they ran out of stock, like around Prime Day, sometimes people don't prepare enough of their inventory. And if one of your top competitors is out of stock, that gives you a lot of options and things you can do differently. But yeah, I just look at listings, and I think if they have like fantastic photography, really like are speaking well to the customer, you can look at, you know, now with brand analytics, you can look a lot about conversion and see which products are getting what percentage of clicks, things like that. So you can, you can dive in deep and figure out which listings you think are doing a really good job of things. But yeah, usually I just pick one or two of my top competitors on some of my, hero ASINs, and I just follow what they're doing and just keep my ear to the ground on my competition.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, that's a great tip. And like you pointed out, even non-competition, if you just see a listing that looks like he's killing it on Amazon, it's worth tracking just to see what they do. Let's see if there's any more open questions. I got here, what kind of campaigns are important that we have to run before Prime Day, which I think before Prime Day, I think that Elizabeth, to the point you were making in terms of pre-Prime Day, really just make sure your existing campaigns are properly budgeted. Yeah. But any specific type of campaigns that you would run before, or just keep doing what you're doing?
I would say keep doing what you're doing. Just kind of focus in on what is already working, and just look to maximize that. If you're looking at things like you don't have anything set up, that could be what the question is asking. Like if we don't have anything set up, I said that there's still time because we have some time to kind of gain back that testing. I would focus on the things that you can test in a limited time frame. Meaning if you're running low bid broads and you're trying to gain long-term, search terms to convert into manuals, that kind of testing takes a much longer time frame sometimes, just depending on the search volume for those, versus you might pick your top keywords, the ones that you want to have a presence on, and then put those in probably an exact match or something that's more targeted, because those ones, the testing time frame to see if those work is kind of a lot shorter. So I would focus there.
Yeah, okay, that's definitely good conservative advice. Don't start trying to conquer the world in 2 days, or the 3 days before.
Pick your battles.
Right, exactly. Pick your battles and stay focused. Hank Shalom asked a good question. What's the best way to find influencers for my product? I guess that's something that Clayton had spoken to earlier. So how do you find those influencers?
Yeah, so I was just actually responding to that. I typed an answer. But an easy way to do it is if you search amzn.to. TO is the URL slug for Amazon Associates. So let's say you're trying to sell something in gaming, or let's do fishing. So you would type in amzn.to, and then you would write plus fishing, and search that on YouTube, Google. It works on Facebook, Google, YouTube, probably a lot of other places. And what it'll do is it'll immediately find people that are affiliating for those products and those niches, so they're already game to influence.
Brilliant. They're doing it already. Find someone who's doing it already. So
Yeah.
to go fishing for the influencers that are not necessarily on Amazon, I don't know, but to find someone who's already doing it, your chances for success are probably the highest with them because they're already doing it. So amzn.to.
Yep.
With a plus sign, and then the keyword that represents your items. That's what you put into Google or YouTube, and then you'll see it'll pull up the results of the influencers who are using that tag.
That's right.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, great. That's a great one. I'm definitely using that one myself. Fantastic. What else? Somebody else asked one question, and I think we're good to call it a day.
Just one small thing that I saw that we spoke earlier was about selling winter stuff on in the summer now for Prime Day. I have just one case study from a customer that I've witnessed it last year. They sell artificial Christmas trees, a lot of different big ones, small ones. And I don't know if people saw the last couple of years, they're making this big push Christmas in July. So it's a lot of retailers have that.
Yeah.
And he did very, very well last year on Prime Day with his Christmas trees, just getting rid of his old stock. So just putting it out there. So I don't know if it's maybe more Christmas related versus just regular winter product, but he did very well for himself, and he got rid of 90% of his overstock. So he's able to bring in new products for the new season.
Christmas in July. Did he liquidate the stuff, or was he actually making money on the stuff?
He was breaking even on it. You just wanted to break even, and,
Wow.
and that was his goal. And he
So-
had a nice couple of thousand orders on
So-
Prime Day. So
So in terms of seasonality, it sounds like you have a case study with someone who succeeded, but
right.
if you're a
It
winter
could be it's
item,
only because there's like Christmas items. People like try to get deals now. I'm not sure. I know there's a push in retail for Christmas in July. There's movies about Christmas in July. So
Right.
so it could be it's something that's interesting, but I'm just putting it out there what I saw last year Prime Day.
yeah, Jacob just added that he has the same experience in the apparel category in terms of winter items during the summer. So there's another validation to that approach. So to the person who asked earlier, winter season in the summer, then yeah, run a deal and see what happens. You might get surprised.
Right. Especially this year, because a lot of like with the economy and everything, what's happening is a little bit of like people are like very careful what they're spending, what they want to buy, and maybe they want to get better deals for the winter because they're not sure how finances are going to look later on with inflation and everything. So it could be it's a good thing, but I would definitely try it.
I hear. Okay, I think that brings us to 2:30, which is officially the end of the program. So I want to thank everyone for spending their very valuable time, especially this time of year. Isaac, Elizabeth, Clayton, Max, Ali, Chezi, Ephraim, and Sean. Sean sat through this through a blackout, no power. He's got generators on. He still attended. So really shout out for chiming in. The content that we went over in this hour and a half was invaluable, not only for Prime Day, but really for all year round. So much so that I think for all those who attended and whoever's a member of the Ecom Cooperative, we're going to get this transcribed and kind of turn it into an outline with all the highlights of what we spoke about, because it's just too good to leave it on a webinar that everyone's going to forget about in a week. So if you register for the webinar, look for an email in the coming weeks with the highlights and tips from this event. And I really thank you to all the panelists who attended and had such valuable input, and to all those people who sat in and listened for the hour and a half. We really appreciate it.